A big tactic in football is to overload a certain area of the pitch, down the right, maybe down the left, or even through the middle. Today we go for the most extreme overloads that we can possibly do in Football Manager. Enter Inter Milan. Let me tell you what we're going to do. So we've got 5 seasons to attempt to win Serie A playing the most extreme overloads to one side of the pitch that we can. Now 5 years to win Serie A with Inter Milan is normally pretty easy. But we're going extreme here, so I'm looking to overload the right hand side. And it's going to look something like this. So 5 attempts to try and win this league and try not to get sacked. So attempt 1 started with this 4-2-4 and it morphed into this. This is where I'm going to try and focus all the play down the right hand side. I've got a fullback on attack, I've got a wide playmaker, a winger, and to add to the mixture, a Mazzala as well. As you can see, when the ball's getting played around, it looks normal, but then it soon goes to extreme right hand side. If I pause it there, you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 players and then a 5th joining in. And don't forget, the striker wants a bit of the action as well. This is the fullback on the ball and we've got loads of players, which should free everyone else up on the other side of the pitch. So this is attempt 1, and after a really tricky start, they're starting to find their feet with it. When we've got the ball, the average positions look a bit like this. We've got our right back there and there's the 2 out wide, so you can see how we're overloading. Number 23 is Mazzala. I'd like to see him get out there a little bit more as well. I've done a few things that you probably would expect. So, for example, we are focusing down the right. We've got an overlap as well. I'm also doing a little funky thing of distributing to a specific teammate, and it's to the right back to get things moving pretty fast straight down that side. At the minute, though, it's not going great because we had a really bad start and we're sitting in 9th. We've already lost 5 matches and the league is already 9 points away. We can get on a good run and get it back. But we did qualify through the Champions League group, so that's a good sign. In fact, we only lost 1 match and that was to Barcelona, so decent. Let's go. Well, we lasted till the 24th of April. And here's the thing, it might have sounded like an easy option to choose a big team like Inter, but if it doesn't work, you can get sacked pretty fast. On this version, I thought we were nailing it and we're on a really good run. It just lost a bit of steam down here, and this 5-0 defeat to Roma was the final straw. They wised up and focused the play where we didn't have many players. So attempt 1 is a big fat failure. Sacked April 24th. So it's time for attempt 2, and if you're going to do something properly and really go extreme and overload something, let's do it properly. So is this extreme overloads to one side, or is it extreme stupidity? I'll let you be the judge of that. Now down the left hand side, to cover this gaping gap, I've got a wide centre back on attack, and probably the ideal wide centre back on attack in DiMarco. Where he lacks height, he's basically a really good fullback who can play centre back as well. I'm hoping he's going to cover that area. Along with Hakan. Yeah, good luck, boys. On the other side, however, this is where the overloads do come in, because not only do we have a fullback on attack, a wide playmaker, an inside forward, a striker kind of swaying to the right hand side, but because we've got 3 at the back, we've got a centre back getting involved as well, and a Mazzala. I make that 6 down the right hand side.
Big mistake, I think.
Now, unlike Tactic 1, this one actually started pretty well. Loads of stuff coming from the right hand side. And you can really see the extreme overloads here. Check that out. I mean, the right hand side is getting bombarded. This shows that most of the assists coming from the right hand side are just inside, and the left hand side, it's pretty barren. In fact, the top 4 assisters for our team is Correa, Barella, Zielinski and Denzel Dumfries. All 4 playing down that side. And it's best shown here in the cup final, believe it or not, against Juventus. You can see the players combining there. You've got Pavard, the centre back, Barella, the Mazzala, inside forward, playmaker, and there's the fullback. The first attempt is thwarted, but as it comes back, they're going to combine again here. Look at them. The overloads are extreme. And that's what we wanted as Dumfries and Correa link up with Zielinski. And after a titanic struggle, we win the Coppa Italia. But you can just see how many chances that you're going to give away. Season overall has been a bit up and down, but we are still in a job with 1 game to go, so that's a success, but we're not going to win the league as we are 14 points clear. But the link-ups are extreme now, look at that. So you've got the right back, the midfielder and inside forward all getting on nicely. However, defeating our last game of the season to Roma meant we dropped out of the Champions League places, and despite winning the Coppa Italia, we get sacked again. So that's 2 seasons, 2 sackings. No Serie A. For attempt 3, we tried something pretty similar. I just dropped the defensive midfielder back a little bit, and I also added some player instructions to help us guard against the left-hand side. And again, you've got to say that in attack, it worked a treat. Look at that, he's got loads to aim at. There's already 4 people on that side with a 5th joining them. And in this match against Como, it helped us score 7 times. But for this season, we lacked consistency again, although the last closing run was pretty damn impressive. And we finished second this time, only losing the 5 matches, but a whopping 12 points off champions Napoli. Although successful and some great chemistry built up, it wasn't quite enough. 3 attempts, 3 failures, although we are getting a bit better. Right, folks, welcome to attempt 4. Is it 4? Either way, let's get on with it. So I'm just going to move Martinez and Thuram. So all I've done, really, slight tweaks. I've moved one of the strikers out wide just because we get absolutely pulverised down that side. But it's still very lopsided to the other side. So I'm really happy with this combo. These 3 get on great. I've added specific position marking into the wide inside forward. He'll be marking the opposition right back. My deep line playmaker will be marking the opposition winger, so he goes over there like that. Mazzala will then jump into the opposition right-sided central midfielder, so he covers where the deep line playmaker was. And then to follow that, I've added one to the inverted winger, who will now attempt to mark the midfielder's centre left. So everyone's kind of shifting over, hopefully, when we haven't got the ball. And the wide centre-back, he marks the attacking winger into there, leaving the 2 centre-backs to mark the strikers. That's the theory anyway. Not a great start as we lost our first match, but I'm putting it down to that red card to Thuram. Because in the next match against Napoli, we went down that right-hand side again. Look at all these players. I think it works in some examples like this. And then we got the second from the same source. Down that right-hand side, look at all these players, which means options in the box as well. On the flip side though, we still have all those problems down that other side. But at the minute, this one is working well because we've got that slight bit more cover down the left-hand side. And with all the player instructions, without the ball, it looks a little bit like that. They do drop into some sort of a 4-4-2, kinda. It was kind of mad how many goals were coming down the right-hand side through various different combinations of them players. This was my favourite yet though, as we start from the right-sided centre-back, to the right full-back, to the right midfielder, to the right inside forward, and through to the striker. That led us to a nice calm 6-4 win over Arsenal in the Champions League. Unfortunately, we got murdered in the second leg 5-1. And the Coppa Italia semi-final didn't go much better. However, in the league, Serie A teams just couldn't seem to work us out, and this overload on the right-hand side completely baffled them. And after our best season yet, we've done it. We actually win the league playing this ridiculous extreme overload. The players absolutely loved it, but DiMarco and Pavard seemed to have issues. But as you can see from the analyst report, the class is a 4-1-2-3 asymmetric, but we had a plus 37 clear-cut chances for against our opposition. Yes, what a result. We scored 94 times, so we nearly hit that 100 goal point and only lose the 5 matches. 5 matches were against probably some teams that we should beat, like Como and Udinese, teams that we put 7 past in other versions. But what's always interesting when you try these mad tactics, right, is it might work in the league, but when you get into international competitions in Europe, they rarely work. Such as what happened to us in the Champions League against Arsenal here when we got battered 5-1. So that version wins us the league. We've set out to do our goal, but we do have 1 season left, so I do want to try one more version, and I want to try it with a more normal-looking back 4. But I will say this, I think the big thing that helped us here was those little cheeky player instructions to mark the positions down that side of the pitch. That definitely helped us improve by dragging our players over and get them in a better defensive shape. So we're back to the start of the season where we're going to pick it up from here and try one more version of this overload tactic. Now because the last version worked so well, I don't want to change too much. I'm just going to move the wide centre back to a full back on attack, so in theory we should be better covered. It might nullify our effectiveness going forward down the right a little bit. Let's find out. Well, we started well. As we set up here, you can see there's the full back, so that does give us more options out wide. It's not as an extreme overload as the other versions, but there is still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people swaying towards the right hand side of the pitch. And when it does come over here from the Toro, you can see we've got 3 ready-made already in that pocket. Correa playing as an inside forward was outrageous this season with 15 goals and probably more importantly 14 assists. This one match against Atalanta, he provided 1 assist and also 3 clear-cut chances. And this one does look a little bit different on the ball because we've got 2 players out wide, but all the other players, look at this. We've got our fullback there, and this is the right side midfielder. Then you've got the Mazzala, and you've got inside forward and striker all swaying to this right hand side. And that's probably largely due to the fact that we've got our striker still offset, not in the central area, but offset as well. Look at the chemistry combinations in this one. Now, like the other versions, the Champions League was a bit of a bust, but they did have a tricky group. But great success in the league again, only a handful of defeats. And with our 5th attempt, we win our 2nd Serie A title. They lost 1 more match this time and 1 less point. But they did break the 100 goal barrier. And team chemistry is pretty much perfect in that one. It's a toss-up which is the better of the 2 overload tactics. But the data hub would probably sway to this one as it gave us a plus 48 clear-cut chances for over our opponents. And that could be down to the fact that assists come from more than one source. So not only do we have right hand side from Dumfries, Correa and Zielinski, but you've also got DiMarco and Hakan getting involved. And those 2 are more on the left hand side of the pitch. So we achieved our goals, 2 sackings out of 5 seasons, but 2 title wins. So it's kind of 50-50 balance for being that idiotic and creating something as stupid looking as that. We have 2 versions. That is the one with the fullback, and then you've got this one here, which is a little bit more extreme. But 2 different versions of extreme overloads down the right-hand side. As always, I'm sure you guys can do a hell of a lot better than I did.